welcome to Boss Babes Chat. Today we're going to talk about content creation, different ways that we can do that, and the reasons why we post certain things. And so if you are watching this on YouTube, I'm doing a TikTok live right now. And so that's who I'm talking to in the comments. And remember to like and subscribe and hit that bell notification if you want to see more workshops like these. And so what do we post content on? So this is going to be geared towards spiritual coaches and energy healers, but it can extend to, like, if you have witchy things that you sell or you have a jewelry business, a lot of this will pertain to those things as well. Okay, so when I'm talking to my clients, they say, I don't know what to post content on. And so the first is, what's your story? What have you been through in life? And sometimes we get tripped up because we say, well, I don't think people are going to want to hear about that. Yes, they do. They absolutely want to hear that. Okay? Because you are a living, breathing result. And I'm going to talk more about that. Hey, Jess. Your story is how you have gotten to where you are right now. And we get tripped up with that perfectionism and say, well, I'm not exactly where I want to be, or I could do more healing. I need more experience. You're an expert in your life, especially if you have the calling to be a spiritual coach or an energy healer. You have gotten yourself out of dark places and dark spaces, and you have a toolkit. And sometimes we don't think the toolkit is big enough, but it is. Because there is always going to be people that are a couple steps back from you, no matter what stage you were at on your journey. It's like a testimony. Yep, it is a real-time testimony. That's what stopped me from doing my own masterclass before and now. Yeah, just thinking that you don't know enough. There are always people that can learn from you, because you are always going to be further ahead. And when I say further ahead, I don't mean that like in a judgmental way, but you are going to be further down your journey, especially if you're on a spiritual awakening journey. And you have things, not everybody knows everything. Is the thing, right? Like, not everybody, us neurospicy people, okay, if you're neurospicy, we know a lot of things, okay? Like, we have our hands in a lot of different pots. But not everybody can be an expert in everything. Like, I focus on specific things in my business, but then I follow other content creators for things that I don't have the time or energy to learn. The same thing with you. You have very specific life experiences and tools that other people need, because they don't always have the time and energy to spend learning the things that you specialize in. And when we're talking about skills, leadership is a skill that people need to learn. Confidence, self-esteem, self-love. Like, it's not always how to grow social media. Like, that's one skill set, right? There's so many different aspects to having a balanced life. And if you've been working on that, then you have tools that you can share with other people. So pivotal moments. When I started making content, I said, okay, I'm going to write down all the things that I've been through. Like, when I timeline shifted, before I even knew what timeline shifting was, okay? But what hard things have I experienced? There's been a lot of them. And probably for everybody in here too, because you're probably an empath and a light worker. So you signed up for a harder soul contract. But write a list of all those things. What happened to me 10 years ago, 15 years ago, a year ago, 3 years ago, that I really struggled through in the moment, but then I came out on the other side. And when you do that, hey Britt, when you do that, you'll be like, dang, I have been through so much in my life and I survived it and now I'm thriving. Hey Tracy, right? Oh, 1 second. Okay. Oh, thank you, Lucy, for that in the comments. It's a long, long list of things, and you can literally make, hold on, 1 second. Okay. Sorry, I had to take care of something in the comments. It's a long, long list. And you don't think it is, because you get so wrapped up in where you're at right this second that you forget about all those things. So I challenge you to write a list. Like, what are all the difficult things I've been through? What helped me get out of those? What tools did I pick up? What conscious awareness shifts did I receive, right? What guidance did I get from my higher self and my guides? Because you keep thinking, I need to be more of an expert. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. So when I first started in coaching, I really looked up to people like Tony Robbins and Oprah and like all these people, right? I could not really grasp what they were saying because they were too far from where I was at. Okay, my conscious awareness was not there yet. So I had to find people, mentors, that were closer to my consciousness level, who I am a couple steps back from them. What tools did they use to get to this very next level? Does that make sense? Like, if I am looking at somebody who's making $1 million a year, that's probably going to be a little bit discouraging. I need to find somebody who's making $15,000 or $20,000 a month and pick up those tools. Because you have to build your level up. You have to build your consciousness up. You have to have those mindset shifts along the way. Just like you making content about your life and what you're experiencing and going through is going to help somebody who's in that stage right behind you. Okay? And when you do that, you shift into the next version of yourself. Like, you level up doing that. And we're going to talk about how to do that a little bit more too. So people want to hear that. They want to hear your life experience, especially if you're an energy healer or coach. Okay. Educational videos. So this is where you're sharing tips with people, your tools, your resources. Okay. When you are sharing those things, keep in mind there's always somebody that needs to hear it. Always. The reason that you are being called to share those things, like it's coming up within you, is because you are connecting to somebody in the etheric field. That person requested that information, and you're the one to give it. So, like, sometimes I'll have something come up in my throat chakra, and I'm like, I have to get this out. I have to share this. And it's because somebody out in the collective said, universe, spirit guides, higher self, I really need to figure this out. I need to heal this. I need to hear this in a different perspective in order to understand it. That's your calling. That's why you feel like you need to share these things, because there's somebody out there that requested it from you. So there's always somebody that needs to hear what you have to say. You're right. I've opened up to a few people around me, and they do love to hear me explain. Yeah, absolutely. We're all learning and growing together. Like, we can't hear things in the same perspective in the same way, because then you don't grow and evolve. Like, do you ever have something that, like, you hear it over and over and over again, but it's like that one person that says it in that one way that you're like, oh, now I get it, right? You always end up saying something I need to hear when I catch your live. Yeah, like, I draw people in. Like, today I was going to do readings instead, and something didn't quite feel right about that. Like, I wasn't in the right energetic space, and so I closed my eyes and I said, okay, higher self guides me. What would best serve the collective today? Is it readings or is it a workshop? And I said, okay, what do I want to talk about? Content creation. Because everybody in here and the people that watch this on YouTube later, if you're watching this, called me through the etheric field to talk about these things. And that's why you're in here right now. So when I say there's always people that want to hear what you have to say, they are there. Hello. I was in another live and something told me to exit out and saw you on, so we're here. Exactly. Your higher self and your guides were like, hey, you need to go, not you just, but everybody, like, you need to go listen to this. right? And so the same thing is happening with people that, are going to listen to you talk. All right, so finding the root. When you're doing educational videos, a lot of people do not realize how things are correlated in their life. That's why we still have behavioral patterns and cycles and triggers that people get stuck in, because they're not seeing the root of why that thing is happening. And so that's why, like, you're trying to figure something out, you just can't. So, and I'll give you an example. So let's say people pleasing, right? 2 accounts, personal, this. Hey, Cassie. I have all of my personal and business account together, and I'm going to explain more about that. But it depends on whatever works for you. Okay, so let's. What I said, people pleasing. When I talk to clients or my audience, a lot of times, they don't correlate that people pleasing comes from childhood. And so if I am trying to speak from a place of talking about how to heal people pleasing as an adult, that's only going to get you so far. And you're going to be stuck in that behavioral pattern unless you heal it from childhood. Well, how do you heal it from childhood? I go to the root. What is the root of this thing with the educational content? Because otherwise that person is just going to keep looking and keep looking and keep looking. And what I'm trying to do is teach you how to, not y'all, but teach people how to find the root of these things. Because if you don't go to the root, it's not going to be fully absolved. And that works layerly. Okay? Like sometimes you have to heal things on your adult conscious mind before you can get into your inner child subconscious, right? Sometimes you need to have mindset shifts in your adult mind, and that's where I used to speak from. Like the type of healer and content creator I was helping people de-layer to where they eventually could get to the root. But a lot of us energy healers and light workers in here right now, you already know what the root is. You already know what the root to most of these things are. So that is where you need to be speaking from. Like when I talk about money mindset and how to bring, more abundance into your life, I usually bring it back to childhood because that's where it started. And I'm not saying you need to talk about inner child healing, like if that's not your thing. Everybody has different stuff. Just when you're making your content and it's an educational video, we need to be asking ourselves, am I speaking from the root of this? As far back as you can go. Because you can always go to a deeper level, okay? But when we're doing surface level content, it's not going to resonate as much with people, or it's going to keep them in that limbo phase of still stuck in that behavioral pattern, that trigger. So at the same time that you're making educational content, you have to be getting to the root of your own stuff. Because you can only help people with how deep you've gone in with it yourself. And so like for me, I am constantly doing shadow work and working with my inner children and going into my Akashic records and, all the stuff. Okay. And it's because I have to find the roots within myself in order to help somebody else find the roots within them. And so it's just as important to do your own healing while you're helping other people do their healing. And it's going to come across too. The deeper you go within yourself, the deeper people feel in resonance with you because they're like, this person knows what they're talking about. I'm going to look up here. Yes, thank you so much for encouraging to go back to the source of trauma and healing. Yes. Yes, personal healing work. Yeah. And I'm not saying you need to be fully healed to make content. We're going to talk about that too. Okay. Okay. Call to action. This is another type of content that you need to be making. Like this is a rotation. Okay. The first one is the educational, showing people why things are correlated and how they're correlated to one another. Like, we're not trying to be everyone's healer and teacher all the time. Like, we want to get people to a point where they can start doing this work for themselves. Like, it's not always about signing clients. It's also about like, hey, I want you to be able to thrive in life so we can have a better collective experience. Okay. Call to action. So this is where you are getting people to do something from your videos, whether that's give you a follow, that is them checking out your programs or your energy healing sessions, right? Or your coaching sessions. This is where you are giving some type of value and you're saying, okay, now this, right? Because from a psychology standpoint, when people are like scrolling on social media, if you don't give them something to do, then they're just on to the next thing. And we don't need to make all of our videos that. Some videos are just like, here's some value for you, but we want to also have like an equal energy exchange. It's not always about money. Money is one type of exchange. Them giving you a follow if they really resonate with you and enjoy your content. Like that was a huge, I don't want to call it like block, but thing that was like holding me back from moving forward was being too afraid to ask of somebody else. Whether that's a follow or y'all go check out my programs or whatever that is. It needs to be an equal energy exchange. Otherwise you start to build resentment. Not resentment towards other people, but the resentment of your business energy. Because it's because it's off kilter. And so you have to start being okay with saying like at the end, like, hey, if you really like this information, if this really resonated with you, hit that follow button. Put some likes on this. Go check out my programs. It's okay to ask people. That's how you get business and you build a community. And start looking at your following that you have. They're community members. You're building, that's what you're building. It's not just like numbers in the machine. Okay. Like my community that I have, like it doesn't have that guru feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like we're all healing and growing together. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. Sharing our own personal journey is a great starting point. It really is. And it's easy to talk about your journey because you lived it. And you're the expert in your life. Okay. So the third type of content is behind the scenes. So this is what's going on in your life. How's it going? When I first started making content, I was very nervous about posting about me going through difficult times because I said, if I look like I don't know what I'm talking about or that I'm struggling, then people are not going to be confident in me. And the exact opposite is true. The more transparent I am and the more I share and the more authentic I am, the more clients I sign. I talk about, hey, I'm going through this right now. Like I'm going through a dark night of the soul. I'm really struggling with my anxiety. I'm super stressed out. Like I share a whole bunch of stuff. Like I share when I fall on my face, when I have a failure. I don't look at anything as a failure. It's a growth moment. Okay, that's a huge change too. Everything is a growth moment. I share everything. Because you know what that does? It says, this person gets it. This person understands what I'm going through right now. And they are brave enough to share it online. That makes a really good leader. And they're confident enough in themselves to share those things. If you go on a deep dive on my socials, I talk about my business, I talk about my life, I talk about my spiritual awakening journey, I talk about, let me back it up. I'm talking too fast. I'm going to share a video about how, I have an 11-year-old son and it brings me pain sometimes that he's growing up and we're stepping into this different phase of like him being a teenager, right? And like the woes of that. And even though that doesn't necessarily have to do with my business, it still gives you a deeper insight into like what I am going through in my life. And that's very relatable for a lot of people that have kids, right? And it's nice to be seen and heard and validated and that other people are going through things like that. And then this is a community. If you want to comment on that video that I'll make, I'll talk to you about it, right? That's what we're doing here. We're trying to find our people, our soul tribe, our community tribe, right? I love when you share how to work through ADHD because that's really relatable for me. Yeah, I talk about a whole lot of things because I'm a multi-dimensional being, just like y'all are. And y'all hear me talk about how it's very hard to pick a niche for neuro-spicy people because we enjoy talking about so many different things and we know about so many different things. And so for me, I have a theme to my content instead. Like I talk about spiritual awakening and the Akashic records and inner child healing and ADHD, growing your business, and money mindset. A lot of different stuff, but it's all in a wheelhouse, right? It's like, how do you grow in your spiritual awakening journey and how do you grow your spiritual business? All housed within those, right? So neurospicy, neurodivergent. I use that for neurodivergent. So that's if you have ADHD or if you're on the autism spectrum, or maybe you have trauma-related neurodiversity. But that's what that means. I guess we don't realize how others may be going through our same struggles. Yeah, that's why I like to share all the things that I'm going through. Y'all see me crying on my videos, and I used to not do that either. I used to have to I used to try and create this presentation of myself as a leader. Like, oh, I need to look a certain way. I need to, show up. No, people want real and people want authentic. And just because you're going through something difficult and hard right now does not mean that you're going to be off-putting to people, because what you're going through right now, okay, is helping people that are back here on those steps that are a little bit behind you. Like, you're already in a new consciousness level past this group over here. And so even the struggles that you're going through right now is helping them prepare for that level. Because every time that I have leveled up in my business or life, I get hit in the face with a whole new set of self-limiting beliefs. Like, they never go away. I'm just going to tell y'all that. It's just like a whole new set. And that's how we grow, right? Just because I'm going through my own self-limiting beliefs right now, I've already cleared out so much. Like, so much. And there are all these people back here that are like, how the heck does she even get to this level? Right? Like, yeah, she's still going through it, but how on earth does she even get here? You see what I'm saying? So don't let yourself get tripped up by saying, I need to learn and grow more and be more healed, because healing is a journey and it will never stop. Like, you can always heal at a deeper level. That's when I was saying, like, let's get to the root. Get to as far as the root as you can at the level that you're at. Okay? Because the root is always going to go deeper. Okay? Client results. Client results are a great piece of content. If you don't have clients yet, that's fine. What are your results in life? How have you helped yourself? What are you doing to keep yourself in balance and in check? But if you do have clients, share their results. What are you doing with them? I do that all the time. Like, oh, I helped this client with this. This is what my client saw after we talked about this. Then you're putting it like in people's mind, like, oh, that could be me too. I can get that result if I work with this person. We need to be talking about results. Like, sometimes I saw this thing one time and it was like, a lot of people have a hard time signing clients because they're selling the plane ride and not the destination. So that was me in the beginning. I would say, oh, I'm an Akashic record reader. I'm a Reiki practitioner. I'm a light language practitioner. I'm a life coach. Okay, that's great. What is more beneficial is, what results can I get you? Because to be honest with you, people really don't care, for the most part, about your credentials. And they do, but not as much as you think they do. That's why you sharing your story is so important, because I can talk about being this and this and this and this all day. What is that going to get you? right? I can say, oh, I'm a life coach, or I can say, I can help your inner child heal and you let go of all those behavioral patterns and triggers that are holding you back in life from making the money that you want, or being as confident as you want, or tapped into your magic as much as you want. And I can help you reality shift into a new timeline. You see the difference? Okay, I can help you stop people pleasing. I can help you hold boundaries. I can help you stop taking on people's emotions. I can help you stand up for yourself. I can help you make more money in your business. I can help you grow your social media content. That is different from just saying, I'm an Akashic record reader and I'm a life coach or spiritual coach, if you will. And it's still important to say those things, okay? Because people need to know what you do. But we need to be more focused on the results that we get people with what we offer, because that's really what they're after. Like, think about when you go to look at other people's websites and their social media, we're more concerned about, okay, what is this person going to do for me? Right? And in sharing your own story, because sometimes we don't know what all we can offer, right? Or if it's enough. Sharing your own personal story and where you've come from and where you've gotten to is a good way for you to figure those things out. I'm lighting this other instance on. Okay, there we go. Okay, engaging in the comments. This is another form of content. So when you're posting a video, it is really important that in the description down there, you know, where your hashtags go, that we're putting a question. You don't have to do it every time, but a question that sends people over into your comments. Because when you do that, the engagement goes up. Like, your content starts getting pushed out further, and you want to engage with people in the comments, because that's how you build your community. If you can take your mind off of needing to go viral and building this giant following, because you don't need it. Like, I have been signing clients this whole way through. Like, I have a bigger account now, but like, it really honestly doesn't matter, because you're trying to connect with one person. Like, clients are one person. It's not about you need to have 10,000 people. No, you need to connect with one person. So when I say, like, commenting on people's comments is important, it is, because now we're establishing a relationship. I'm more real, right? I'm not just some lady making social media content that you're ingesting. Now we have connected to one another. And you're like, oh, this is a real person. Because I am a real person if you're watching me on social media, but there's still that kind of like disconnect, right? But if I speak to you in the comments and I show you like, hey, I really care about what you're saying, like, and I appreciate you commenting on my video. What can I do to serve you? How can I better help you? People know with me, if you need resources on something, I'll send them to you. You can reach out to me anytime, whenever. You email me, comment on social media, I will get you them resources. Okay, because my objective is not to engage with people necessarily to sign clients, like, that's great, but it's how can I help you on your journey? Because not everybody needs a coach or a healer where they're at, but where they do need a support. And I will get you that support however I can. Right? Because I've been there too. I've been in a place in life where I couldn't, necessarily always have a coach or a healer, and I had to do more stuff on my own. But then doing that got me to a place where now I can hire coaches to help me. So just because somebody's not in that space yet doesn't mean that they won't work with you later on as well. Like, maybe they don't do it right this second, but 3 months or a year down the line, they're like, you know who I really enjoy and who really helped me and came from a very intentional space? You. Right? That's what I love most, and you definitely do answer back yes. Because helping somebody else is helping not only like them, but it's helping me and it's helping the collective. Like when we back it up and have that more cosmic viewpoint of things, me taking 5 minutes out of my day to respond and see how I can help you pushes you a little bit further along, and then it pushes the collective a little bit further along, and then we all have a better experience, right? Like there's no gatekeeping here. Okay, like I want you to thrive. And when I started on my spiritual awakening journey, I was not in a good place in life, and I did not have the financial wherewithal to hire a coach, right? And so I had to rely a lot on people's like free content. But now I'm at a place where like now it's my turn to do that. Does that make sense? And like I do, you know, I have programs and all this stuff and people sign up for them, but I also have this very deep calling of like, I'm gonna help you where you at. Okay, because I was there too. And so engaging with people, building your community that way. Watching your content back. This has been a huge one for me, is watching all of my content over and over and over again. Like I watch my workshops back. I watch my lives back. I watch my TikTok and Instagram videos back, and I look at them objectively. I say, okay, I'm not looking at it through my eyes. I'm looking at it through a consumer, if you will, like a community member. Like, how could this person say this a little bit more clearly? How could they be more concise? Did they get to the root of the thing? Did I find this more helpful? An added bonus is you heal yourself watching your content back. You help the younger versions of you heal in hearing that information, okay? And you keep yourself in check. Because when I'm watching my videos back, I have to constantly ask myself, am I doing what I'm telling other people to do? Because that's very important. If you're not doing what you're telling other people to do, your content will not hit, and it just will not resonate with other people. Because even though on a conscious level, they don't know that, on a subconscious level, you can feel it energetically. Okay, so there's so many benefits to watching that stuff back. And I know it's really cringy and difficult when you first start making content, but it will propel you so quickly to do this. And you also learn to love, or you also learn to fall in love with the way you look and the way that you sound, and you start to fall in love with your mannerisms and your characteristics, and you get used to seeing yourself, and then it's not so cringy. Okay. It is in the beginning. I'm not telling you that it was fun. When I first started doing that, it was not. But now I love watching my content back. And I get a better sense of how can I better optimize this? Or am I, helping myself heal through watching these things? Or I'll ask younger Brittany to listen when I'm making it. Okay. And do you ever cannot thank you enough for all the help you give? Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Watching yourself and seeing where you can improve has helped me a lot. Yeah, absolutely. Looking at it objectively, not nitpicking, not berating yourself, because that's not helping anybody. Okay. More so like, how can I improve with this a little bit better? How can I learn to love myself better? Right? Coming from that space. Okay. The next thing we have here, are these helping? Let me know too, if any of these are resonating with anybody. I'll do some cleansing here. Oh, hold on. Whoop. Okay. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Self-love is the best starting point. Yep. How can I learn to fall in love with myself more? Okay, speaking to your younger self, this really shifted all of my content, like radically shifted my content, is I stopped making content for a general audience and started talking to younger Brittany, or insert your name. Okay, I would talk in the camera and say, and I wouldn't say like, hey, this is for younger Brittany, or say like, hey, younger Brittany, listen. Okay, it was more like coming from that energy. I had a huge inner child moment. Oh, yay, share, if you want to share it. Talking to younger me and saying, this is what I wish I would have known earlier. Whether it's an educational thing, whether it's self-love, whether it's social media growth, how to sign clients, how to get over people pleasing, how to do inner child healing. Oh, thank you for that beautiful swan. Hey, Kimberly. For those of you on YouTube, I know you can't see it, but somebody sent me, or my friend Kimberly sent me this beautiful swan gift. It is such, or is so much easier to make content when you're talking to yourself. And if you're an energy healer and a coach, you're trying to help people that are a couple steps back from you, that are on a similar path, because you're an expert in your life. And so it makes sense to talk to younger you, because ultimately that's who you're trying to help. It's so easy to talk to people and clients when it's a younger version of you, because you're like, this is exactly what I did, and I know all this stuff is going to resonate and work for you because we are so similar to one another. It completely shifted like how many clients I got, how much easier it was, and like the clients that I pull in, like we don't have the exact same experience, it's extremely similar. And it's so easy for me to talk to them because I'm like, yep, been there, done all those things you're going through right now. Like, here is how I healed those things. This is how I moved through that, right? How do I figure out which way I can help best? When we were talking about before about going through all of your life experiences and writing down, these are all of the significant points in my life, whether it's successes or quote unquote failure, growth moments, tough times in my life, making a big old long list of that and saying, what could I teach people about how to get out of those places and spaces? How did I do that? Because it's very easy to talk from that space because it's your life. You lived it. It's not something you have to learn. There's a difference between making content up here and from here. Content from here resonates and lands with people, and you sign people that way, or you get clients that way, because they can feel that you've been through that experience. I used to try and like make scripted content and like, you know, do all this research and stuff, and like that's very difficult, and you're doing it from up here. I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to talk about my experience. And I'm going to talk to younger Brittany. So much easier. And when you're making content, you're not trying to connect with 1,000 people. You're trying to connect with one person. So have your client in mind. Okay. What does your client need? What kind of support is that? One person. Only one. Okay. That's it. Just one person. We're only talking to one person when we're making content. So when we're making content, we're saying, hey guys, we don't need to do that, because we're not trying to talk to multiple people. I'm trying to talk to you. And people are scared to do that because they're like, oh, well, that's excluding people. No, you're honing in on who is your aligned client, or your community member. Maybe you're listening to this and you don't want to like do this professionally. Your community members, one person. That's it. And there are many of that one person. That's the thing. But the more that you can hone down, the more relatable it is for that person. Okay? So oftentimes talking to younger you helps, because that's kind of who you want to have, because you're the expert in your life. Okay. I have real shut. Okay? A lot of us do. Like, a lot of us empaths and light workers have signed up for these like more difficult soul contracts and experiences in life so that we could teach people, right? And be leaders, because you know, sometimes when you're listening to people and you're like, I don't think that person's been through that. They're just more talking from like an objective space. You know what I mean? Like, I'll give you an example. I love therapists. Okay, I was going to go to school to be a clinical psychologist, so this is not a dog on therapists. All right. But have you ever been to one and like they're talking to you about how to heal something, but like you feel like, okay, I don't think they've been through this before, but it's still good advice that they're giving you. But then you talk to somebody who has gone through it, and you could just feel that, like you resonate with them very deeply on that level. That's a lot why coaches and energy healers are becoming like so popular, because they're speaking from experience instead of like an objective place. Does that make sense? Totally get that. Yes. I start every video with, hey y'all. It's just, I'm not saying not to do that. I'm not saying not to say, hey y'all. Okay. Because I still do that sometimes. It's more like having that energy of, I'm trying to connect with one person, because that's ultimately what you're trying to do. So I'm not saying take it out completely. It's just more about having that like mindset shift, because that's what we want people to feel. Like I'm not talking to a whole bunch of people. I'm talking to you. Okay. Does anybody have any questions or anything about the things that we've been talking about, or questions about something else with your business? And if you found this information helpful, I have a group coaching program that is about to launch on March the 7th. It's called Boss Babes Inspire, where we talk very much in depth about these things. Not just about this, but signing soul line clients, making more money in your business, how to shift into a multi-millionaire mindset, how to tap into your multi-dimensional magic that's working through the etheric fields, how to stay goal-oriented and focused with your business, how to overcome perfectionism, imposter syndrome. There's a lot of moving parts into running a business like this. What to put on your website, what's a discovery call, how to structure pricing in your business, how to grow your social media. There's a lot to it. And so if you want to start a business, or you're already in one and you want to level it up, that's what Boss Babes Inspire is. And so all the information is in my profile. If you click that link, or if you're on YouTube, it's in the description down here below. But it's going to start on March 7th. I'm so excited. We're going to start on the Virgo full moon. Can we talk to my Virgo moon about perfectionism? Oh, that's funny. Virgo moon. Yes. So what was I going to say? Coaching program is starting on the full moon, Virgo full moon, March 7th. Can we talk to my Virgo full moon about perfectionism? Yes. So I am a recovering perfectionism. I'm laughing so hard because you said what you just said. Yeah. I am a recovering perfectionist because I hold myself to very high standards. Okay. And a lot of that comes from childhood, because it's self-worth. Not thinking that, you're worthy enough or you're good enough. And underneath that sometimes is the fear of abandonment and the fear of being alone. Like, well, if I don't hit this mark, then that means that nobody's going to like me, nobody's going to understand me, I'm not going to sign clients, all this stuff. Good is better than not at all. Like, you got to just do what you can with where you're at, with what you have, and just do it. Because there's never going to be a time when you say, this is good enough. Never going to be a time. Like, you can always improve. And if you keep pushing success off, then success will never come. That is like a huge thing that I had to learn. Like, you can do anything, but you got to start right now. Okay. Well, yep, there it is. Abandonment. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, sometimes we need to be making content about what is the root of this, because if I just talk about perfectionism and I say like, oh, you need to believe in it, and this is true. Okay. But you need to believe in yourself. You need to start now. That's great. And we love that, like, facts. Okay. But where is perfectionism coming from? It's coming from childhood, where somebody held too high of expectations of you or told you you're not enough. And then underneath that is the fear of abandonment. Not fear of abandonment from other people, fear of abandonment from self. Like, I don't think that I will be able to see myself all the way through, because you are not taught those things, or somebody undercut you or undervalued you. And so you're like, well, if I take a leap on myself and I let myself down, then that's the worst thing that could possibly happen, because I'm the only one that's been able to carry myself and support myself. And so that will be my biggest failure in life, is to let myself down, because at the end of the day, all you have is you. And it's different when you've had parents and guardians that have let you down, okay, or have not given you the things that you've needed, and you became very hyper independent. Perfectionism is hyper independence a lot of times. And so if you can't even rely on other people, all you have to rely on is yourself. And I'm talking about inner child. This is inner child, okay? If all you have is to rely on yourself, well, of course you're not going to put yourself in situations where you might fail, because then you fail self. And you were the only person you could count on. So you see where I'm saying, like, it's very important to get to the root of these things so you can help your inner child heal with this. Because I could talk about perfectionism all the live long day, but it's only going to help you to a certain point. If you're, the undertones of that is you have abandonment issues. Yes. I'm so happy I caught your live. This speaks to me big time. Okay, good. I'm glad it's resonating. My mom told me you'll never make a life from art. Working on this for my 11-year-old self. See, that's an abandonment thing. Because first we have mom up here not encouraging us and telling us, like, it will never work out. Okay. So we can't rely on mom to encourage us. So the only person that we have to encourage us is us. Okay. But now we're not you just, but we're not going to put ourselves out there with our art, because then if we fail, then that makes that true. Okay. You see where it's like a cycle that you get caught in. And so now we have to come in as the higher self and help the inner child heal and be that person that mom was supposed to be for us. You have to heal it. Like you have to be the support for the inner child. I'm sorry about this YouTube ad. Hold on. Okay, well, it's just gonna go until whatever. Anyway, we at the coffee shop. I always thought it was just my dad who abandoned me by leaving. This is so helpful. Yay! Hold on, let me fix this. Things like this, when I first started making content, doing lives, would stress me out all the live long day, because I'm like, oh my God, it didn't do what it was supposed to do. Or it's like, who cares? Nobody cares. That's the thing, like, nobody cares about mistakes or things not going right. Like, people care that you showed up and that you're, like, offering love and support and you're creating space and you're there. That's all they care about. Okay. I always thought it was just my dad who abandoned me by leaving. This is so helpful. Okay. This is like a huge thing that I talk about with people. Hey, Eliana. Trauma is relative to you. Okay. I have so many clients that they say, well, I didn't experience a lot of trauma. And I'm like, okay. Trauma doesn't always have to be this quote unquote like major event. As we see with Jess here, hopefully it's okay I talk about this. Jess's mom said, you're never going to be creative with art. Okay. So if somebody says that to you when you're little, now we're looking through the lenses of, I will never be successful at this, so what is even the point? And then you put all your creative outlets on the back burner, or you have imposter syndrome, or you get into perfectionism because you're looking through that lens of an inner child, of their trauma. That was a trauma. Trauma is anything that creates like PTSD or throws you off kilter or clinks down a perceptual lens that you're looking through, right? Like self-limiting beliefs. That was trauma for little Jess, right? Or maybe somebody else in here too. You can say something very slight to a child and it'd be very traumatic for them. Just because you are looking through your adult mind and it doesn't look traumatic to you doesn't mean that it wasn't traumatic to them. okay? Because they are in a different consciousness form. It's kind of like if you had a parent that yelled at you all the time as a child. Consciously, as an adult, I might say, well, now I see that they were under a lot of pressure, and maybe they were in a happy marriage, and they were dealing with a lot of anxiety, and they were doing the best that they could with what they had. And like, you can be a lot more understanding about it. What your inner child experienced was this person who was an authority figure that was screaming at them and maybe looked like a scary monster. I've seen that before with a client, right? Terrified, shrinking back, retracting into self. And then that made them a people pleaser. That was the root, okay? Do you see where you have your adult conscious mind that understands things different from your inner child? And some people won't call a parent screaming at you trauma, but you're not looking at it through your inner child's lenses. And when you do that, it can be very eye-opening, because you don't realize sometimes like how detrimental those things are. Like, I'll give you an example. And I just had this realization the other day. Okay. Like, just figured this out. So my grandmother had she was the person that raised me. She had very low self-esteem and confidence, and she would say like, I'm so dumb and I'm so stupid, like, to herself. I internalized that as my own voice. Okay, I started regurgitating that stuff, but I thought it was me because it was in my voice. And the other day, this hasn't happened to me in a long time. I heard, like, I made a mistake doing something, and I heard this voice in my head, and it said, "You are so stupid." And I was like, hold on, where did that come from? I was like, what? We don't think that about ourselves. Where did that come from? And I had to sit and talk to my inner child, and she was like, Grandma used to say that all the time. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot about that. I was like, do you think that about yourself? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, listen, that is just something you heard over and over and over again. And then you started hearing it in your voice, and then you thought it was you. I was like, that's not actually your voice. You just think it is. And when I had that talk with her, she was like, oh, that's not me. And I was like, no, you're not born thinking that you're stupid. I said, you learned that from somebody. Like, babies aren't born with self-limiting beliefs. They pick those up. That's what imposter syndrome is. So all those voices in your head, you learned that from somebody. You picked it up. And when I helped her realize that, she let it go. I could literally like feel the trauma energy coming up out of my body. Oh Lord, now we got Kevin Bacon over here. Have y'all seen that seven connections to Kevin Bacon? Anyway. Okay. So I could feel the trauma energy like coming up out of my body, and her releasing that and being like, oh yeah, I don't believe that about myself. That's not true. That's just something that I learned. Okay. So sometimes you got to ask yourself, like, where those voices come from? Because it's not me. I wasn't born with those things. We got off way. Jess, hopefully that helped. We kind of like went off into this other thing. I have horrible abandonment issues. Abandonment issues are like really tough, because abandonment does not always mean that your parents like dipped out on you or left. Anytime you're not having a need met, whether that's emotions or encouragement or somebody speaking positively over you, that's abandonment. Okay? Or if your parents aren't teaching how to process your emotions, that's abandonment. Or spending time with you. Like, there's many layers to abandonment. And it creates, that's where we start masking, okay, a lot of times, because we're like so afraid of not having people around us, especially if you're not good with your own thoughts and your emotions. You start building this reality around you that's like subpar, because you're like, oh, I'll just take what I can get, and I don't want to cut toxic people out of my life. Not saying you, but I don't want to cut toxic people out of my life because they're better than nothing. and then you start to lose yourself in the mask. And like it's a big thing to like deconstruct. Okay, like I've been there, done that as a lot. And I still have to check my abandonment stuff. Like I have to ask, you know, where my intention's coming from? Why am I reacting in this way? Why am I responding in this way? Is this coming from my abandonment stuff? Because I have a lot of abandonment stuff from my childhood, because I had a lot of childhood trauma. This resonates. I used to downplay. Hey, Idalise. That resonates. I used to downplay my trauma and say other people have it worse, but it's still, yeah, trauma is relative to you and your experience. Okay. Emotionally distant. Yeah, that's a form of abandonment. I haven't spent a holiday with my mom in 12 years and she lives 10 minutes away. Yeah, sometimes we have to like disconnect from certain people in our life in order to heal, and that's okay too. Right? Like sometimes we have a lot of like societal guilt over, well, you need to do this and you need to do that. Like when I was separating from my son's father, like there were so many people that were like, oh, well, you know, your son's gonna be messed up if you do this. And I was like, he is going to suffer more if we stay together, because that is toxic. And separating is going to be more beneficial. Like sometimes you have to disconnect from things, right? Just because sometimes we have that societal pressure of like, well, you know, whatever, they're family. And I'm not saying to cut your family out of your life, but sometimes you gotta readjust how much time and energy that you're putting in certain relationships with people. Okay. Your worst is your worst. It doesn't matter who experienced more. Yep. Everything is relative to you. Okay, so hopefully these tips helped for content creation, and we talked about some other things too with the perfectionism and abandonment. So that's why I want to do these Boss Babe chats. If you really enjoyed this, I have 2 more on my YouTube account. It's soulharmonymagic, or if you're watching this on YouTube, I have a Boss Babe chat for imposter syndrome, and then one for the death and rebirth process. So that's like dark night of the soul while you're timeline shifting and how to traverse that easier. And so this one is more of the theme is like perfectionism, abandonment, and content creation. So that's what we're putting. So if you want to watch a replay, it'll be up on YouTube. If you want to join Boss Babes Inspire, you're a high achieving spiritual entrepreneur who wants to grow in your life and your business, and you want other boss babes to help you along the way, okay, and help you figure all this stuff out. And so saving you a lot of time and energy. It's really important to be a part of communities. Even if it's not that one that you join, find a community to be a part of, because we don't know everything and we only have so much time and energy. Being a part of a community is so incredibly helpful. Okay, but if you do want to join Boss Babes Inspire, all the information is in my profile and then down here in the description below here on YouTube. All right, I'm booking with you. My name is Erin. You probably see me on YouTube. Oh, hey, Erin. Hey. Hey. Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. We can book a session if you like, and we can talk about these things, or if you want to join Boss Babes. We'd love that too. We would love to have you. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, everybody. I hope you have a magical Sunday or whatever day that you're watching this, and I will see you next time. Bye.